Welcome back to another video. And if you have ever said, I feel like I'm just doing the bare minimum to get by and I'm not sure how to overcome it, then this is going to be a super helpful video for you. So this was inspired by one of my recent coaching sessions with one of my clients where he said this exact thing. And what I want to do is I want to share the process of how we helped him overcome it so that you, if you're stuck in this place right now, if you just feel like you are doing the bare minimum right now, so that I can actually help you overcome it as well. So it's likely that some of you are in that place right now. It's also likely that some of you might experience that in the future if you've experienced it in the past. But regardless of what your situation is, the exercise that I'm going to share can actually help you. So when I was talking to my client, he told me, I just feel like I'm just doing the bare minimum, and I've kind of always done that, and it's always worked out for me. But I want to overcome it. Like, I don't want to just keep doing the bare minimum just to get by. And so the first thing that we really did is I said, all right, like let's play this scenario out. What is your life going to look like 1 year, 3 years, and 5 years from now if you keep just doing the bare minimum just to get by? And we started to talk about that. And then I had him go through specific areas of his life and describe to me what his life is going to look like in those specific areas in 1 year, 3 years, and 5 years. And we started with his relationship with his wife. So describe to me what that's going to look like. Then we talked about his relationship with his son. Then we talked about his personal health. And then we talked about his business. And when we started talking through those different areas, like, what's your relationship with your wife going to look like 1 year or 3 years or 5 years from now if you just keep doing the bare minimum? If you don't really prioritize quality time with her, if you don't do the things to take care of her, if you don't reach out to her, communicate to her, do nice things for her, what is your relationship going to look like? And what he told me is he's like, it's probably just going to feel like we're roommates. There's probably not going to be as much of like a spark or not as much of a connection. And it really kind of starts to make some of these things real, and it makes you understand the consequences for doing the bare minimum. And then we went into his relationship with his son, and I said, what's your relationship with your son going to be like? And we started talking about how his son might not be like super interested in him. He might not want to like play with him. He may not want to ask him for help with certain things. And we also kind of talked about how his son would probably adopt some of these tendencies because kids, especially at a young age, just absorb so much from around us. And then we talked about his business and his gym that he's going to be launching. What's the gym going to look like? We talked about how it's probably going to be stuck at a certain number of sessions, and it's never going to be a top gym. And the trainers at that gym and the employees that he has, they're not probably going to be as engaged. They're probably going to be frustrated. They're never going to be able to provide for their families. They're never going to be able to buy the homes that they want. And that's not at all what he wants to create. He wants to create an environment where people are inspired and excited and they want to come to work. And then we also talked about his health. And if he just keeps doing the bare minimum, only going to the gym 1 time a week, he's not going to have the body that he wants. He's not going to have the energy. He's not going to have the vitality that he wants. And so we went through all those different areas, and I would encourage you to do this as well. Play out the scenario 1 year, 3 years, 5 years of what your life is going to look like if you just keep doing the bare minimum. And then once you play out that scenario, ask yourself, how are you going to feel in the future if you don't make a change? And the feeling that most people will have is the feeling of being stuck and the feeling of regret and the feeling of like just knowing this isn't where they wanted to be and they could have made a change, but they didn't. And that's a really shitty feeling. And so that's why it's really important to play out this scenario, ask yourself, how do you feel? And then ultimately ask yourself, is this what you want? Because if it's not what you want, then you can make a decision right now, today, to raise your standards, to no longer just do the bare minimum. And then what we started to do is we started to talk about like his ideal long-term vision, the best version of himself. And then for all of those different areas, for the relationship with his wife, with his son, with his health, with his business, we started to ask the question of how would the ideal version of me or the best version of me respond to these different situations? And we started to get different answers. And this is ultimately the process of helping you understand what are the consequences of continuing to go down the path of accepting mediocrity in your life. And if you are the type of person that you have big goals, you're a high achiever, then it's really important to go through this exercise and raise your standards. And you can go through this process and decide today that you're going to make a change. And the best way to do that is to start to think about those different areas, think about the best version of yourself, and think about how that person would respond. And so as I bring it back to you, and I kind of just really bring this home, if you are stuck in that place, if you are the type of person you feel like you've just been, doing the bare minimum to get by, I want to challenge you to go through this exercise, play out the scenarios, and then ask yourself, is that what you want? If not, decide today to raise your standards, commit to the best version of yourself, and act as if you're already that person and make that change. And if you want to go through this exercise with me, go ahead and click the link in the description, book a call. We can go through this exercise together and start to talk about what it looks like for you to raise your standards, to become the best version of yourself, and to overcome these things that are holding you back. So that's what I have for today. I'll see you all in the next one.